Hello everyone and welcome to KDH art class. My name is Miss Howard and today we're going to be doing some scarecrow faces that have the different hats on, and it's kind of fun. And I just want to throw in my little disclaimer, this has nothing to do with Halloween. I had to explain to my students that scarecrows have been around for 2,000 years. They're used by farmers, and the main purpose is when you're growing your fruits and vegetables out in the field, when they get ready to be eaten by humans, it takes several months to get there. So we're ready to eat those beautiful fruits and vegetables, delicious, yummy, healthy things, but so do the birds. And the crows are some of the smartest birds out there. They're the big black ones. And they cannot be fooled very easy, and they're big, and they can do a lot of damage to your fruits and vegetables that the farmers want to give to their families and then take to the grocery stores or the farmers markets to make money. Well, if the birds are eating all of your food, then you're not going to have anything to eat, and you're not going to be able to make money. So they notice when humans go out there, the birds fly away. So if there was just some way that they could put something out there that looked like a human, that didn't need to go to the bathroom or go inside to eat or sleep at night or something like that, that maybe it'll keep the birds away. So they would take their old clothes and they'd put these big sticks in there, kind of in the shape of a plus sign. And they would put the head on with a hat, and the head was made out of something called burlap. Burlap is that fabric. Some people still use them for those races where you climb in the bag and you have to hop with the bag. They're called sack races. Well, they have smaller ones, like that's usually potatoes and onions used to come in those things. Now we use these plasticky ones. But regardless, they would take that and they would turn it upside down and they would gather it all up so it would make kind of a round head. They'd stuff it with hay or straw or something like that. And they'd sew on buttons to look like eyes and some patches or pieces of fabric that look like a nose and stitch a mouth and anything to make it look a little human. They'd put the clothes on it. And of course the plus sign, the shirt, the sleeves would always stick out on the side, kind of like if you had your arms sticking out. And then the pants and everything would be down on the bottom below the shirt. So, so like I said, they've been doing scarecrows for about 2,000 years. Fun little fact. And that is what this project is based on. It's a fall theme in my mind. So, needless to say, let's begin. I have my piece of paper, and what I am doing with my students is having them practice on like a half piece of paper, and they can actually get 4 different practices in. I'm just going to do probably just 2 of them today. It does take some time, and you just need something like a pencil, an eraser to work with. And I'm going to be doing it with a pen as best as I can so that you can see what's going on. And I'm starting them off with the letter U. So this is a simplified version, but it's one that works. So we're going to do the letter U in the middle. And then from there, we're going to do a diagonal line and a diagonal line. Now, if I'm going too fast, please feel free to pause the video. You know the drill whenever you're watching a YouTube or any other video. Pause it so that you can get caught up. From there, we're doing the U's and the rainbows, the letter U and the rainbow. And it kind of goes across. And what you did is you bunched up the fabric. Let's see if I can kind of demonstrate with this napkin here. So you'll fill the fabric and then you're going to bunch it up so that it makes kind of a roundness, and you're making all of these wrinkles. So we're trying to work with creating these little wrinkles here. Okay, and again, simplified version. So I have my U's and rainbow shapes, and now I'm going to add the little highlights or shadows where the tops of the wrinkles are. Like that. So only on the rainbow shape, on this side and this side of the rainbow, am I going to make my lines. I did not go inside the U shape at all. All right, from there, we need some wrinkles on top. So again, we bundled it up. And you'll notice there's some wrinkles. It's kind of hard to see with my lighting here. I really need to invest in better lighting. But it's raining outside and it's dark in my room. So you have wrinkles on top as well as the wrinkles down here. So we're going to do what looks like a wiggly letter V. And the wrinkles on this side are going to go in that direction. And the wrinkles on this side are going to go in that direction. Again, I'm kind of keeping it simple. There's much more advanced ways of doing this. Let's see if I can zoom this in just a little bit more, because now it's going to get much more interesting. Alright, so we have our basic thing. Why we noticed we did not fill in the top. We're going to do that with our hat. Okay, so this gives us options on how we're going to do the hat. But we're not done with our scarecrow head. And I have to switch to pencil so I can show the gradients. The gradient is how, or the value scale as you might also know, is how dark or light you're pushing with your color. In this case, a pencil. So you can do super dark and you can do super light. All right. And then you have all of this stuff in between that gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And you can get even lighter and lighter and lighter until it just kind of disappears. So this is shading your gradient where it's nonstop. You know, value scale, it sections it off by squares, but it all equals push hard, don't push hard. Okay, and then everything in between. So we're going to start by pushing hard on our letter U. So here's our letter U. I'm pretending that the sunlight is coming in from this direction, and because this fabric is flapped up, there's going to be a shadow on this side because the sunlight is shining on this side. So this shadow is the super dark. All right, that we do, super dark, that we're going to do on each one of my letter U's. And notice I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm just doing it right next to the line. That's where my darkest shadow is going to be. And I'm going to keep repeating, this is a simplified version. There's much more advanced versions of doing this. So already it's starting to get a little bit more of that wrinkle going on. Since we're in super dark mode, where we've wrinkled up and the tissue paper is going to create a shadow. Notice this is a little bit bigger than in here. So that means it's squished in and this is over it. And so we're going to create a super dark shadow right next to the bottom of the U. Make sure you don't have any of the little white spots showing, otherwise it won't look like a shadow. Now going back to our gradient, we have super dark and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So you want to do that inside the U. So I'm going to go lighter. And just fill in the U with a little bit of lighter. Barely touching my pencil for some of you, just barely, just let it kind of barely scratch. And barely scratching the paper. Super light. Super light. And we filled in our U's. And now hopefully it's starting to look more and more like the fabric has shadowy areas and lighter areas. Now our lighter areas, we need to put the shadow under it. So I'm not going to go on my rainbow, I'm going to go under my rainbow. And I'm going to like do a diagonal. It's super duper dark. Right there. This rainbow, do a diagonal, it's super duper dark. Just on that one side. Diagonal. Again, our sun is coming this way, so that might get a little bit of sun inside of it. But right here next to it, super duper dark. Okay. Super duper dark. And my last one, super duper dark. Okay, so that's the bottom wrinkles. We leave it like that. If you'd like to even do the slightest little shading on this half of your rainbow, it makes sense because if it's a rainbow and it starts curving, the shadow is going to start forming over here, not over here again where the sun or the light is shining. Okay, let's get to these upper wrinkles. Same idea. The sun is shining on this side, you have a wrinkle, so the other side is where your shadow is going to be. Ta-da! Just on the other side. Sun is on this side, shadow is on this side. Sun is on the one side, shadows on the other side. Ta-da! We now have our wrinkles. Oops, I forgot something else. Because it's curving in, it means it's going to get darker and darker where the two touch. So we went ahead and did the shadow down here. We are going to need to shadow above that U line. All right. Now for my super fancy artist, then you could also do shading on this side because it's curved, and a little bit darker on this side because it's curved, but I leave that up to you. Okay. There you go. Just so that you can kind of see it on the video. We're not worried about that as much. All right. So now let's add a hat. Our hat, and I let my hand shake a little bit like I'm cold. And I'm going to start there and just give it a little bit of a wrinkle, and it's going to cut across and stick out on either side of my U. My hat that I'm going to put outside in the rain and all the wind and the snow and everything like that and the sun is not going to be my best clothes. They are not going to be my fancy clothes. They're going to be the old ones that are all messed up already because the birds, you know, they might do something to the clothes too, even though we're trying to scare them away. All right, from there, we're also going to like do kind of a wrinkle line coming down and a wrinkle line coming down. That is under the hat, behind the back of the head. And we're going to kind of diagonal up a little bit on the sides and then bring it straight across. Again, letting your hand have that shake like it's cold. Connect. from there, we need the top of the hat. So this is the part that gives you shade. And we're going to kind of wrinkle our lines going up. And I like straw popping out of the top of my hat, of my scarecrow, so I'm going to make it look like maybe there's a hole in it. And I gave it a really kind of a wrinkly line there. Okay. Now, for our shading, going back to super dark, the sun is coming down, but it can't get under the hat. That's why we wear hats, keep the sun off of our face. So that's where your super dark going to be, where your super dark is going to be. So those little areas right there, you're going to do them super dark on both sides. Again, I do want to throw it out there if I'm going too fast, and I probably am. You can always pause the video. I'll give you a minute to kind of get caught up there as I let my dog out. All right, coming back, that's our super dark. Then I'm going to do kind of a medium where they meet. There's my medium. And the rest of it, I'm just going to leave it light. Of course, I'm going to come in and I'm going to add patches. The hat is kind of small, so I'm not going to add too many, 2, 3 at the most. And then I'm going to make it look like they sewed it on. All right. Maybe there's a skinny one that wraps around that way. Okay. I could even do a teeny tiny one here. Who knows? Not too many. Okay, so you have your patches. Again, for my artists that they get it, you can put you could put a light shade around the patches, because the patches will be sticking out more than the hat because they're on top, and it will create a shadow. Just fun things like that. You could even put a light shadow all the way across the bottom of the brim, because again, it's shading our eyes. Alright, from here we get to have fun. Okay. This is when you do the flick. Your flick needs to be the letter V and the letter X. And you're going to need hundreds of them to make it look like straw. And you might even have a few little strands that are sticking out down. Now you could also add it in the hair. You can even have them coming out from underneath. You know, it just depends on where you want your straw to be coming out from your scarecrow. Maybe a little bit poking out here or there. Flick, flick, flick. When you do the flick, it makes it go to a point, which makes it a little bit more realistic looking. All right. Then you just need to pick what kind of face you want. You could do a simple little triangle fabric nose that gets sewed on. And remember, it's all about the little details. The little details tell the story. Right? You could give your little scarecrow some cheeks. Of course, these are sewn on, maybe from a little girl's dress, something pastel-y or cute, or a young boy's outfit. And then you can do the mouth. Maybe they put a piece of yarn or something across and they have to sew it down so it doesn't wiggle around. I also like to do a little dotted line down the middle. And if you want to, you can even add another skinny little line. Come on, pen, work. Next to it, because the burlap sack has a seam in it, and that's going to make it a little bit more real. But notice I didn't go over my nose. I put the nose down first, I put the mouth down first, and for the eyes, we could be doing buttons. Buttons, I like to do a large circle. Now obviously I'm not going to go that large, I'm just giving you a close-up. And then I'm going to do another circle that's a little bit smaller, and I just take my time and try and make it about the same. Obviously I didn't do a great job. Right. The buttons are going to have 4 holes in it, and then they're going to sew it on with yarn, diagonal texture that connects those two, and yarn, jump over, stop, jump over, and add my little texture for those two. And depending on where the sunlight, notice I always keep coming from the same direction. I might have some of this medium dark shadows, kind of like a banana or a crescent moon shadow there. And then on the outside, I'm going to have the banana or the crescent moon shadow over here. Now the holes themselves need to be super dark. I'm going to cheat and just use my black pen and make it super dark in those holes. And voila, you'll be able to add your button eyes. Or of course you can use the illusion that you have the fabric. Can't do too much in there because they're so small, but you get the idea. Oh, and of course I forgot my shadows with this fabric. And even that yarn is going to make a little bit of a shadow. And if you want to get super fancy, yes, these will too. And I will do it on the one side, not the side of the light. And again, the more details you add, the better. All right. Well, there's our basic little scarecrow head. I hope you had fun following along and creating it. With time, you'll be able to add things, you know, that are a little bit more, give the little body. Look how boring that is, because it has no details on it whatsoever. You can do the overalls. The overalls, basically, think of the minions. The minions are always wearing overalls. All right. They might even have those fancy little hooks that are attached to a button. The button and the hook allows you to take the overalls off so that you can go to the potty without making a mess of yourself. And like the minions, they have this little pocket in the front. And then I always add my little, how thick is it? And across. I need to make my little hook thicker. Yeah, this, the sides. Uh-oh, made that a little too thick. But you get the idea. You can adjust it however you like. And then you can even add a little stitching. Again, it's the details The details, the details. The more details you can add, the better. Adding a few more patches. You can even figure out some patterns for your clothes. Maybe your clothes have a little bit of a tear and there's some straw coming out. You know, it's all about the details. And he's got a shirt on underneath, so it kind of looks like an X. See the X there? And then you can have the collar. And you can even have the lines where the buttons are going down. More and more details, the better, and then you still need to shade everything. Think about which direction the light's coming. But yeah, now it's your turn to practice. The U, the extensions, the wiggles, or in your case, press the rewind button and play it again. Have fun, try different things, and enjoy your scarecrow's head. Bye!